leading Hebrew-language newspaper in Israel is called Israel Hayom, which means, Israel Today. It is a free daily newspaper, which is the most widely distributed in Israel. The publication focuses on various topics, including politics, and has been noted for its center-right to right-wing political alignment since its establishment in 2007. As of July 2023, it had a weekday readership exposure of 29.4%, maintaining a strong position in the market. Its weekend edition also showed robust performance with an exposure rate of 27.1%. By comparison, its closest competitor is Yedioth Aharonoth, Latest News, which has a weekday exposure of only 22.3%. Haaretz, The Land, the oldest and left-leaning newspaper, had a weekday readership exposure of only 4.8%. Recently, the Israeli government severed all ties with the newspaper because of its criticism of Prime Minister Netanyahu. This has resulted in a drastic shrinking of their reach. There is also Globes, which is a financial daily, with a weekday readership of approximately 4%. Among the dailies, Israel Hayom dominates in the Israeli print media landscape. But why is all this important? Israel Hayom was launched in 2007, by American billionaire, Sheldon Adelson, who was a strong supporter of Benjamin Netanyahu and his Likud party. Sheldon Adelson, a billionaire casino mogul and prominent Republican donor, had a profound and multifaceted influence on the Republican Party, particularly in shaping its policies and electoral strategies over the past 2 decades. His financial contributions and strategic endorsements positioned him as a key figure in GOP politics, especially during the presidencies of George W. Bush and Donald Trump. Adelson's financial support was unparalleled among Republican donors. He and his wife, Miriam Adelson, contributed over $1 billion to Republican causes throughout their philanthropic efforts, particularly following the Citizens United Supreme Court decision in 2010, which allowed for unlimited political spending by individuals and corporations. This ruling enabled Adelson to emerge as a dominant force in political financing, with significant donations directed towards super PACs that supported GOP candidates and initiatives. Here are key donations by the Adelsons. In the 2012 election cycle, the Adelsons reportedly contributed more than $150 million to various pro-Republican efforts, including substantial sums to support Mitt Romney's presidential campaign. For the 2016 election, they were instrumental in Donald Trump's campaign, donating around $25 million directly to his bid and significantly supporting other Republican candidates. In the 2020 election, their contributions reportedly exceeded $250 million, cementing their status as the party's largest benefactors during that cycle. Adelson's financial backing was crucial for many Republican campaigns, particularly those aligned with his pro-Israel stance and conservative values. His contributions helped shape the political landscape, making him a key figure in Republican fundraising efforts. His endorsement was seen as a significant boost for candidates, often leading them to seek his favor at events hosted at his Las Vegas resort. The Adelsons were among the most prolific donors in U.S. political history, particularly within the GOP. Over a decade, they contributed over $480 million to Republican candidates and causes, often surpassing the combined donations of other major donors. In the 2020 election cycle alone, they set a record by donating $172.7 million to Republican super PACs and conservative groups. A central tenet of the Adelsons' political agenda was their staunch support for Israel. Sheldon Adelson famously stated, "I'm a one-issue person. That issue is Israel," reflecting how their donations were often directed towards candidates and policies that aligned with pro-Israel stances. This focus helped shift the GOP's platform to more explicitly support Israeli interests, particularly during Donald Trump's presidency, when significant policy changes, such as recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital, were enacted. The Adelsons' contributions facilitated a transformation within the GOP, aligning it more closely with extremist Israeli politics and influencing its stance on issues related to Palestine. Jared Kushner's Abraham Accords was strongly backed by Adelson, since it was a deal which heavily favored Israel and completely ignored the Palestinians. The accords were also an attempt to drive a permanent wedge between Shia and Sunni Muslims, in other words, between Iran and the Arab world. Interestingly, despite constituting less than 2% of the U.S. population, Jewish Americans are responsible for a substantial portion of campaign contributions. Reports indicate that Jewish donors contributed around 50% to National Democratic Party funding and about 25% to Republicans in recent election cycles. Prominent Jewish donors have significantly influenced both parties. For example, the Adelson family has contributed nearly $500 million to pro-Trump causes from 2016 to 2024. Other Jewish individuals, like Tom Steyer and Deborah Simon, have been among the top contributors to Democratic campaigns. Following Sheldon Adelson's death in 2021, Miriam Adelson has continued her husband's legacy by actively engaging in Republican politics and maintaining significant financial contributions. She has expressed her commitment to supporting candidates who align with their shared values, particularly regarding national security and support for Israel. She donated $100 million to a pro-Trump super PAC, called Preserve America. This donation was structured in installments, including $25 million each in July, August, and September, with an additional $20 million at the end of September. This contribution is noted as one of the largest single donations in the current election cycle, surpassing Elon Musk's $75 million donation to a similar cause. Miriam's ongoing involvement suggests that the Adelsons' influence on GOP fundraising will persist. While some party members caution against reliance on mega-donors, the Adelsons' historical impact highlights the importance of substantial financial backing in shaping party dynamics and candidate success. For example, Adelson was a staunch advocate for Israel, as already noted, famously declaring himself a one-issue person, whose primary concern was support for the Israeli state. He believed that U.S. foreign policy should align closely with Israeli interests, often prioritizing these over traditional American diplomatic approaches. In other words, America first should equal Israel first. This focus led to a significant shift in GOP ideology, aligning it more closely with right-wing Israeli politics. Adelson's financial contributions were instrumental in promoting the expansion of Israeli settlements in the West Bank and Jerusalem. He viewed these settlements as vital to Israel's security and identity, which contributed to the GOP's increasing acceptance of settlement policies that were previously considered obstacles to peace. Under Adelson's influence, the Republican Party moved away from advocating a two-state solution, instead endorsing policies that supported Israeli annexation efforts. As the GOP's largest donor, Adelson's contributions significantly impacting electoral outcomes and party priorities. His donations were always tied to specific policy outcomes, such as the relocation of the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, an action he championed and which was realized during Donald Trump's presidency. This move symbolized a dramatic shift in U.S. policy toward Israel, and was celebrated by many within the GOP, as a fulfillment of long-standing promises. The informal Adelson primary, where candidates sought his endorsement, highlighted his role as a kingmaker within the party. His backing often dictated which candidates received substantial financial support, thereby shaping the GOP's leadership and policy direction. Candidates aligned with Adelson's views on Israel gained significant advantages in their campaigns. Adelson's influence contributed to a growing partisan divide regarding U.S. support for Israel. The GOP increasingly adopted hardline stances that echoed Adelson's views. This shift has made support for Israel a defining issue within Republican politics, often at odds with broader international human rights considerations. Adelson also advocated for aggressive policies against Iran, viewing it as a significant threat to both Israel and U.S. interests in the Middle East. His calls for military action against Iran further solidified a hawkish stance within the GOP that prioritized military solutions over diplomatic engagement. Following Sheldon Adelson's death in 2021, his widow Miriam has maintained this Republican politics, maintaining their legacy of strong support for pro-Israel policies. She has been active in political circles and remains a significant donor, ensuring that Adelson's vision continues to shape GOP strategies and foreign policy approaches toward Israel. The Adelsons' unwavering support for Israel has not only reshaped GOP policies, but has also redefined its identity regarding foreign relations, particularly in relation to Middle Eastern politics. Adelson financial power and strategic endorsements have left an enduring mark on the Republican Party's direction and priorities. So, expect Adelson priorities to be the guiding light for President Trump, in regards to the Palestinians and Iran. And, as for the belligerent attitudes seen among ordinary Israelis towards the Palestinians, they are enforced by Israel Hayom, the Adelson newspaper, which dominates and shapes the minds of Israelis. Just as the Adelsons have shaped the minds of Republicans, when it comes to Israel. Which means that we should only expect more violence and slaughter in the years ahead, as America helps Israel become dominant in the Middle East.